Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the most dramatic and heart-wrenching moments of your favorite daytime dramas. Today is a thrilling day to unpack the explosive power dynamics and emotional sacrifices unfolding on our screens. Let us explore the profound depths of loyalty and vengeance. The executive office at Forrester Creations, usually a sanctuary of haute couture and refined elegance, has transformed into a chilling arena of emotional warfare and corporate vengeance. The air is thick with unresolved tension following the catastrophic public relations nightmare that recently plagued the family. Eric Forrester's highly anticipated return to the world of high fashion was brutally overshadowed by the sudden, clandestine launch of the Hope by Logan brand. The sting of betrayal still burns fiercely in the hearts of Ridge Forrester and his daughter, Steffy Forrester Finnegan. They have been operating in a state of cold-blooded crisis management, desperately trying to salvage their legacy while plotting retaliation. However, the corporate battlefield is suddenly eclipsed by a deeply personal tragedy, one that brings the escalating war to a grinding, shocking halt. The catalyst for this unprecedented convergence of personal and professional disaster is Will Spencer. The young man, crushed beneath the suffocating weight of the corporate secrets forced upon him by his mother, Katie Logan, finally snapped. The intense pressure of hiding Hope Logan Spencer's defection proved to be a toxic burden. This psychological torment culminated in a horrific display of violence at the beach house, where Will brutally and repeatedly punched R.J. Forrester. The physical altercation not only left R.J. battered, but also completely destroyed Will's romantic relationship with Electra Forrester, who ended things in absolute disgust. Now, Will faces the terrifying prospect of severe legal repercussions as Ridge Forrester goes on the warpath, threatening to have him prosecuted and cornering Electra with a ruthless ultimatum to cut Will out of her life permanently. Enter Hope Logan Spencer, a woman already teetering on the edge of a complete psychological and physical collapse. Hope has recently endured the most agonizing period of her life. After orchestrating the massive surprise launch of her new fashion line, she experienced the intoxicating thrill of creative autonomy, only to have it immediately ripped away by the devastating loss of her mother's love. Brooke Logan Forrester's furious reaction, culminating in a violent confrontation and the shocking eviction of Hope and Liam Spencer from the cabin, left Hope entirely shattered. The trauma of being practically disowned triggered a severe panic attack, causing Hope to collapse unconscious on the floor of the Logan Gallery. Revived by a frantic Liam, Hope stubbornly refused medical attention, knowing no hospital could cure the profound emotional agony tearing her soul apart. Amidst her own unbearable suffering, Hope is struck by the horrifying realization of what Katie's ambition has done to Will. She recognizes the tragic domino effect of her quest for independence. Katie Logan's relentless drive to build a rival fashion empire, utilizing Hope as her crown jewel, required a web of deception that ultimately ensnared and destroyed Will Spencer. Hope, burdened by a crushing guilt, realizes that her moment of triumph on the Logan catwalk was purchased at the cost of her cousin's freedom and sanity. The thought of Will, a young man who is merely trying to navigate impossible loyalties, rotting in a prison cell because of a corporate war fought in her name, is a reality Hope simply cannot accept. Driven by a desperate, self-sacrificing instinct, she realizes that the only currency valuable enough to buy Will's salvation is her own hard-won freedom. The atmosphere in the Forrester Creations executive office shifts from simmering anger to stunned disbelief as Hope Logan Spencer walks through the heavy double doors. She is no longer the radiant, triumphant designer who recently smiled for the international press corps. Instead, she is a portrait of profound desperation, her posture burdened by the immense weight of the sacrifice she is about to make. Every eye in the room locks onto her, the silence stretching into an uncomfortable, suffocating eternity. Ridge stands behind his desk, his jaw clenched, the protective fury over RJ's beating radiating from his every pore. Steffi stands nearby, her arms crossed defensively, her eyes narrowing with suspicion and lingering hostility. They expect defiance or a plea for understanding, but certainly not the absolute, unconditional surrender that is about to unfold. In a move that sends shock webs through the very foundation of the Forrester empire, Hope slowly descends, her knees hitting the plush carpet of the executive office. It is a gesture of total submission, a physical manifestation of her broken spirit and her desperate plea for mercy. The woman who fought so fiercely for her creative autonomy, who defied Steffi's demands and alienated her own mother to escape the shadow of Forrester Creations, is now kneeling in the middle of the room, completely stripping herself of all pride and dignity. The sheer vulnerability of the moment is staggering. Hope looks up at Ridge, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, her voice trembling but laced with an undeniable resolve. She is not begging for herself. She is begging for the life of a young man who became collateral damage in a ruthless war of fashion, family, and fragile egos. Hope's voice breaks the heavy silence as she outlines the terms of her agonizing proposal. She offers Ridge a deal that is designed to inflict maximum pain upon herself while delivering the ultimate victory to Forrester Creations. In exchange for Ridge dropping all criminal charges against Will Spencer and sparing him from the horrors of prison, Hope promises to immediately and permanently terminate her highly lucrative contract with Katie Logan's fashion house. She vows to dismantle the newly launched Hope by Logan brand, a brand that just eclipsed Eric Forrester's haute couture return and captured the attention of the global fashion industry. But the sacrifice does not end with a simple resignation. Hope understands that Ridge and Steffi require a public reckoning, a definitive demonstration of loyalty that cannot be questioned, manipulated, or subsequently reversed by anyone. To satisfy their demand for retribution, Hope offers to publicly humiliate herself. She promises to issue a formal statement to the press, openly admitting that her defection to Logan was a catastrophic professional and moral mistake. She will publicly dismantle her own credibility, taking the full brunt of the media backlash and shielding Forrester Creations from any lingering embarrassment. Furthermore, Hope vows to return to the Forrester building, not as an equal partner or an autonomous creator, but as a subordinate forever bound to Steffi Forrester Finnegan's absolute authority. She willingly offers to place herself back under Steffi's thumb, surrendering all creative control and accepting whatever diminished role Steffi deems appropriate. It is a lifelong sentence of creative imprisonment, a willing submission to the very environment she so desperately sought to escape. As the full magnitude of Hope's offer hangs in the air, the reaction from Steffi Forrester Finnegan is a chilling study in vindictive triumph. For years, Steffi has battled Hope for supremacy, both in their personal lives and within the cutthroat corridors of the fashion industry. Steffi recently endured the profound humiliation of watching Hope's surprise launch overshadow her grandfather's legacy, a betrayal that ignited a cold-blooded thirst for revenge. Now, witnessing her greatest rival kneeling on the floor, offering a complete and unconditional surrender, Steffi cannot contain the slow, triumphant smile that spreads across her face. The sight of Hope Logan groveling, willingly offering to become a corporate prisoner just to clean up the mess created by the Logan family, is the ultimate vindication for Steffi and a soothing balm to her intensely wounded pride and ego. Steffi's silence speaks volumes in the tense room. She does not need to hurl insults or demand further concessions. Hope has already offered her the absolute destruction of the Logan threat on a silver platter. Steffi revels in the psychological victory, savoring the knowledge that Hope's brief taste of independence has ended in spectacular, humiliating failure. The power dynamic has shifted entirely, swinging back to Steffi with overwhelming force. She envisions the future, a future where Hope is permanently relegated to the background, stripped of her voice and her influence, forced to watch as Steffi dictates every aspect of the Hope for the Future brand. It is a victory sweeter than any successful runway show, a permanent subjugation of the woman who dared to challenge the Forrester legacy. Steffy's eyes lock onto her father, silently urging him to seize this opportunity. For Ridge Forrester, the decision is far more complex and agonizing. As a father, his primary instinct is to protect his son and punish the man who caused him harm. The image of RJ, battered and bruised after Will's brutal assault at the beach house, fuels a righteous, burning anger within Ridge's soul. A significant part of him wants to see Will Spencer locked behind bars to ensure that the Spencer heir pays the ultimate price for his lack of control. Ridge has already weaponized his corporate power against Electra Forrester, demanding she sever ties with Will, and pursuing criminal charges is the logical next step in his crusade for justice. However, Ridge is not just a protective father. He is the ruthless, calculating patriarch of a global fashion empire. And Hope's desperate plea presents him with a massive, unprecedented strategic advantage that he cannot easily ignore. Ridge realizes that sending Will to prison would satisfy his immediate desire for vengeance, but it would do nothing to neutralize the existential threat posed by Katie Logan's rising fashion empire. The Hope by Logan brand is a direct attack on Forrester Creations, a calculated attempt to steal their market share and humiliate their legacy. By accepting Hope's agonizing deal, Ridge has the power to instantly decapitate Katie's company. Without Hope as the face and visionary behind the new line, Logan Creations will suffer a catastrophic collapse, losing the momentum and the international press attention they just hijacked. Ridge is torn between the visceral need to avenge his son's physical pain and the cold, pragmatic opportunity to secure the undisputed dominance of his family's business for generations to come, effectively destroying the Logan threat with a single, decisive blow. The ripple effects of Ridge's potential acceptance are staggering to contemplate. If Ridge agrees to the terms, the devastation inflicted upon Katie Logan will be absolute. Katie, who has already begun to realize the horrific personal cost of her corporate machinations, will be left with nothing. She demanded absolute secrecy from Will, a burden that ultimately broke his sanity, destroyed his relationship with Electra, and led to the violent outburst against RJ. Katie's ambition cost her son his peace of mind, and now it will cost her the very empire she sacrificed his well-being to build. When Hope publicly resigns and dismantles the brand, Katie will face a public relations disaster of epic proportions, proving Brooks furious. Accusations correct and leaving the Logan family more fractured, alienated, and professionally ruined than ever before in their long, tumultuous history. As the seconds tick by in the executive office, the tension becomes almost unbearable. Hope remains on her knees, her tear-streaked face looking up at Ridge, awaiting the verdict that will define the rest of her life. Steffy continues to watch with that predatory, triumphant smirk, radiating an aura of absolute superiority. Ridge stands motionless, his mind racing through the calculations of vengeance versus corporate strategy. The fate of Will Spencer, the future of Logan Creations, and the very soul of Hope Logan Spencer all hang precariously in the balance. Hope has laid her entire existence on the line, offering her pride, her career, and her autonomy as a shield for Will Spencer. The only question that remains is whether Ridge Forrester will accept the ultimate surrender. And what kind of twisted, broken reality will emerge from the ashes of this unprecedented, heartbreaking sacrifice?